It's not unheard of that nearly finished websites can sit around on a developer's staging environment, waiting months, sometimes even a year to launch. This is usually because one element is missing, resulting in a failure to launch. Failure to launch in the website industry is a real problem website designers and developers face. It can happen because of the client's missing content, the client constantly changing the site design, or the client going MIA with final payment. This lesson will aim to help you with failure to launch by exploring how to build a website with a launch in mind. A website launch is more than just going live. It's comprised of 3 parts: building, quality assurance testing, and going live. You should think of the building phase as being a part of launching a website and not separate from it. To help you prepare and gain perspective, let's review 4 ways you can build to launch. Make sure your onboarding process for your new client includes immediately gathering their credentials. This includes the domain registrar, access to their current web host, access to the new web host, web analytics account, and CDN access if they are using one. These credentials should be tested immediately to make sure you have access, letting the client know not to change any passwords until you've launched the new website. If the client doesn't have the domain name they want or the new hosting account, getting this is priority number 1. Thinking about domain and hosting is something that should not be delayed. The decision needs to be made at the start of the project. Secondly, as a developer, build on a server that you own. Preferably, this would be a staging environment that the client can view but not access. Many contracts are written in such a way that if the client hasn't fully paid for the entire project, they do not own the website. It helps with the launch timeline to require final payment for clients to have access to the website and for the website to be moved to their server. If the client wants access to editing the website before the website is live to the public, you still need final payment. To allow their edits before the site is public, move the site to their new hosting, but don't point the domain's DNS records to the new web host yet. This means you've been paid, but only one step, pointing the domain, is required to taking the site live. If the client is retaining their current hosting, then move the website onto their staging server on receipt of final payment. Then they can edit the website freely, since you've completed the scope of work. In both cases, you may want to make a short document that lists tasks you will still complete for them. For example, pointing the domain's DNS, pushing a staging website to the production site, as well as addressing the final QA check on the live site. This way, they can feel comfortable in delivering the final payment, knowing those tasks won't be forgotten and are included in the original scope. Your schedule for delivery is also a critical factor for launching the website. Make sure you set a schedule for every deliverable, then have the client sign off approving every deliverable. Finally, invoice for payment along that schedule. For example, you could have your client sign the proposal with a 50% deposit. Then you could do a deep dive discovery phase, get that approved, and receive 10% of the budget to move into design. Once the design is complete and the client approves each design, move into development with another 10% payment. This means by the time you are developing the website, the client has paid 70% of the project, resulting in just 30% to launch. They've also signed off on every stage, so you shouldn't have any pushback once you show them the developed website. In your schedule, also set a projected launch date. If you're struggling with repeated failures to launch because of clients delaying their content, assets, or payment, then you could add an overage fee to your contract for every week past the launch deadline due to the client delay. Just make sure that it is clear to the client and implement it if delays compromise your resources. The last suggestion to ensure you build to launch is to set client expectations during the build. Setting client expectations involves a few deliverables that improve the client involvement, remove confusion, and prepare a website better for launch. To set client expectation, deliver a sitemap that has all the pages that will be designed and developed early in the project. Skipping this could lead to the creation of new pages, new suggestions, and scope creep later in the project. Additionally, give the client an update every Friday during the project, including what is being asked of them. This repeated communication is a consistent way to make progress and clear a way towards the goal of launching. Now, what do you do if you have a website right now and there's no end in sight? Maybe the client hasn't paid and it's been on your server for a long time. Regardless of why it's there, you still need final payment since the website scope of work is complete. Getting on a call is the best way to sort out this final step and clear any confusion. Always take a professional tone. The client may not be dodging the final payment, there may just be some misunderstanding. Moving forward, set your contract up to include that final payment is still due even if you don't have the client's final assets. Only do this if you provide a way for the client to edit the website themselves. This way you complete your portion of the build and the client is able to put their final assets in when they have them. If you are currently sitting with a website that has failed to launch and you never put anything in your contract to protect you from client delays, you need to present a new agreement to wrap up this website. In this new agreement, state that final payment is now due and the website will be delivered to the client's staging server, but you will include an additional X number of hours of development or design when the client is ready to revisit the website. Although this has you eating those additional hours of what would normally be paid work, it will at least accomplish closing out this long overdue website. An agreement like this keeps the client happy, since you are positioning that you aren't abandoning them. Only take this measure if there is nothing in the current contract for websites you are holding on to. Otherwise, consult your lawyer to change your contract now and better protect yourself from clients' delays. Failure to launch can be prevented by the actions you take during your website build. Better planning, paying schedules, setting boundaries, and client expectations are all strategies that help a project run smoothly towards its end goal.